So we're back to 15 starters for this. Over 8 laps. And another 8 laps coming up tomorrow. The view from Tony Scott's car as he puts it into number 9 on the grid. The 5th row.
We want to watch for the quattros off the line. The four-wheel drive will help them get going. They've been practicing their starts. They weren't as good off the line as I thought they may be at Phillip Island, but apparently they've been working on that.
It's Jones on the right of screen, Brad Jones. He's got the yellow rear vision mirrors there on the side, and on the left his teammate Greg Murphy. And the ominous sight just behind the Diet Coke team of Morris and Brabham. And they're away in the Super Tourers, and it looks like Murphy has got the better off the line from Jones. So no team orders for the start. Allen making a move up. And it is Murphy, I believe, who has taken the advantage as they go into that first chicane. Greg Murphy has the advantage. Close-up racing straight behind him. And Greg Murphy gets the better of teammate Brad Jones from the start. Back to the 2 BMWs, the second of the chicanes in the street side of Surfers Paradise. Jeff Allen looks like he's made a very good move off the line from 7. Further back, that's Ellery just gone through picture. And all the way back to the tail of the field. Great start for the young Kiwi. Greg Murphy, very cocky character.
Yes, he hasn't been to this circuit before. When you consider that Bradley Jones has been doing NASCAR and OSCAR around here for a few years, Murphy just jumped in here and really hooked into it. So pretty impressive start for him. He says he loves the street circuits, loves hooking into it. And the car's going down the back straight now.
They brake at about 200 kilometres an hour here, and that's where the Audis have the advantages under brakes. I'll get you to point out the advantages in a moment, Warwick, as we look at the order. Murphy, Jones, Morris and Brabham, the 2 BMWs. Charlie O'Brien at the moment. Right up there is Greg Murphy, and setting quite a pace indeed.
Yeah, Murphy's just pulled a bolter over his teammate Brad Jones. You've got Jeff Brabham third, Paul Morris, Charlie O'Brien, the Volvo, Ellery in the BMW, and Jeff Allen in the Mondeo. He's got past all the privateers and trying to hook up with the factory teams.
So Stephen Richards, probably the driver who was back at 6th on the grid in the Alfa Romeo, who didn't fare as well as some. Oh, the 2 Diet Coke BMWs get a little sideways. We may have just seen a bit of excess baggage thrown off the one side.
Well, Morris, he's been impatient to get past Brabham for a few laps now, and he's tried to have a go under brakes, give it a little tap, but they've kept both cars on the road. And I think Frank Gardner would be happy to see both his cars sitting on a wall this early in the race.
So 1 lap down, and Greg Murphy, the Kiwi, on top in the Audi, ahead of his teammate Brad Jones. And it's a fair sort of gap that Murphy's opening up. As we look at the dice again, the 2 teammates, well, it was tail to front. And we're back with the Diet Coke team right now. It's a fair battle. Brabham holding the advantage over his teammate Morris. And I say again, Morris, the man who won both races at Phillip Island. And down at Phillip Island for round 1 of the Super Tourers, Brad Jones was 2nd in both races. Brabham picked up a 3rd in race 2. So he's looking to pick up his act even further here.
Jeff Brabham may not have driven on this circuit in particular a lot, but racing Indy cars and sports cars in the United States, where they do a lot of their racing on street circuits, can feel pretty at home here. I know that he wasn't entirely happy with the setup of the car, but he's certainly hooking into it here. He won't like the Audis getting away from him.
In qualifying with the BMWs, the Diet Coke team, Frank Gardner's team, 1/10 of a second between the 2 drivers. Morris did hold the advantage. And right now they go again. Morris trying all he can to get past Brabham. And they really do use all of the track, these Super Tourers. And we stick with the BMWs.
And just in the background, we're getting just a few glimpses of Stephen Richards in the Alfa Romeo starting to apply some pressure to Charlie O'Brien. So we've got still Brabham leading Morris, with Morris very keen to get past. He might have a go under brakes here.
It's a fair gap between 2nd back to 3rd, and then 4th, and he is gone. So Brabham's in trouble, or rather Brabham's fine. Paul Morris is the man in trouble and has been left behind, and Jeff Brabham's left all alone in 3rd spot.
Yeah, well, Morris came through that corner, and all of a sudden the car just slowed. So obviously mechanical problems. I don't know if he hit Brabham hard enough earlier on the race to affect anything. you know, for anything in the crash to affect what's happened to him, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But out front, Greg Murphy from New Zealand in the Quattro. Second, Brad Jones. And third, Jeff Brabham in the Diet Coke BMW.
It should put Charlie O'Brien up to fourth. It does, and now Stephen Richards up to fifth, so he's making ground. We're with Tony Scott. That's what he has behind him. Tony Scott currently running in sixth position in the Volvo station wagon. You're half expecting to see the wife in the passenger seat and the two kids in the back.
We're watching Jeff Allen close in on the Volvo. He's just taken Stephen Richards. So Allen, after having problems on the grid, has walked his way all the way through the field, closes up on the back of Tony Scott's Volvo. He's going to, I'd say, he's going to have a real go here under brakes in a second.
Well, how good is this? The Ford Mondeo and the Volvo. You'd love to do this out in the open road, wouldn't you? The Mondeo right up the back of Tony Scott's Volvo. Now he's going to make the move. Not this time, as they have plenty of pace down this part of the track. We'll get it up to sixth before the chicane.
If you listen closely to the audio in the Volvo, you can hear the wheel spinning. Tony was saying the car wheel spins a bit getting out of the corners, and the Mondeo's through.
Allen's got him. So now we're looking out the front. And we get a good shot of the rear of Jeff Allen. British driver out here. He'll be competing in round two of the Super Tourers at Oran Park, and after that his plan's a little up in the air. So Scott is back to seventh. And Allen moves up. So at the top of the order, it's Greg Murphy leading Brad Jones. We'll take a break and come back with more Super Touring action from the Gold Coast. 5, Greg Murphy leading Brad Jones, his teammate in the Audi. Brabham third, the BMW, the Diet Coke BMW, back to Charlie O'Brien. And Steve Richards in the Alfa Romeo rounds up the top 5. And at the moment, the break between first and second is out to a little over a second. And Greg Murphy, the team order will be certainly put to the test. Brad Jones driving the number 1 car, Warwick, but let's find out what's going to happen over the next few laps.
Well, the team is run by Brad's brother Kim, and it'll be interesting to see whether, as you said, whether there's any team orders. But at the moment, Murphy really got the bit between his teeth. He's been out there since the start of the race, and he's maintaining that gap. Jones closed in a little bit, but I don't think he seems to be doing a lot to him at the moment. Brabham about 5 seconds further back in the Diet Coke BMW, and then another 3 seconds back to Charlie O'Brien in the New Zealand BMW.
And the distance now, or the time between first and second, is now just under a second. Greg Murphy, the young Kiwi, as we go back further through the field. Charlie O'Brien just in front of the Alfa Romeo of Steve Richards. That's where we'll stick with the action at the moment. Little lock up there from young Richards. It's 4th and 5th. O'Brien holding down 4th spot.
I was talking to some of the other competitors before, and they're saying this Alfa Romeo of Stephen Richards is very fast down the straight. That is a little bit susceptible under brakes. It tends to lock brakes a little bit, so they haven't got that quite right. But very quick down the streets, this front-wheel drive Alfa.
Well, that was right. One driver I spoke to was Paul Morris in the BMW, and in qualifying he found himself stuck behind a few drivers at occasions, but one of them was Stephen Richards, and he was surprised by the grunt down the straight that the Alfa Romeo has. Charlie O'Brien in qualifying was another who wasn't caught behind one of the faster cars. He was caught behind one of the slower cars, and he only really had 1 lap yesterday to set a good qualifying time. So Charlie O'Brien will be happy with the progress that's being made this weekend, and he'll be happier still if he can keep Stephen Richards well behind him.
Well, this Alfa Romeo won the British Touring Car Championship, or the sister car to this car, won the British Championship last year, so certainly the Alfa's been the gun package. Charlie had a lot of laps around here in NASCARs, so he certainly had a lot of circuit knowledge, and Alan's starting to close up now on Stephen Richards.
It's great to see, just getting a little airborne as they go through. On screen, the young man, Stephen Richards. He'd be the baby in this field, I guess. 22 years of age, no older than, or no younger than Greg Murphy, the leader of the race, but he has got a fair sort of record to live up to, which I know he's probably been reminded of plenty of times. That's the gap between first and fifth, over 13 seconds. But at the moment, we're looking at the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th, because you've got to put Allen right in there. He's getting right on the hammer of Richards.
Allen really starting to apply pressure to the back of the Alpha. Richards, he's had plenty of experience, you know, maybe not in these cars so much, but he's driving his Oscar a lot. He won the Drive to Europe series, so he's done plenty of miles, and he won't just hand it over to Jeff Allen.
So the power of the Ford Mondeo up against the Alfa Romeo. Again, Richards gives that impression that every time he gets to that first chicane, he just locks them up. And Allen has closed the gap all the way in. Less than 0.4 of a second, less than 4/10. And Allen now contemplating a move.
Allen's going to have a big go here under brakes. I think, I don't know if he's close enough. No, he's going to pull back in, try and get a good run out of this corner. Down to second gear. I'll move up to third, then back down to second. Try and get a nice smooth run onto the back straight. Allen really going close to the walls there.
This is where he made the move on Tony Scott. Can he do the same to young Stephen Richards? And at the moment, Charlie O'Brien left alone in 4th position. Allen now just looking to pull out a shade. Let's see what he can do under brakes this time. Jeff Allen making the move on the inside, and it's tight, and he takes him. Jeff Allen gets past young Stephen Richards. It was almost like playing chicken as they went into the corner.
Well, he had the draft going up the back straight. He had the Alpha's toe, pulled out, took him under brakes, so nicely done. Now he's got Charlie O'Brien in his sights, really using the curbs.
Oh, Richards, he takes it. Right-hand side. Disappointed to lose his position, and there's the damage you can see to Stephen Richards, and we'll put him out of the race.
Well, let's see. It doesn't look good. I'm surprised that the car's going. I mean, he glanced that wall. There's just some tyres there to absorb some of the shock. But I'm surprised to see that Alpha's still going. So let's see whether he pulls into the pits or attempts to keep going.
And now we go back to the last lap. The two Audis out in front. Murphy ahead of Jones, but the gap now is less than 4/10 of a second. Here's the replay of young Stephen Richards. After being passed by Jeff Allen, loses it a little, and he'll be very disappointed. I know they're low on parts. The Alfa Romeo team was hoping to get through this without too many problems and head off to round 2 in Oran Park. But back to the leaders. Murphy with his slight advantage over Brad Jones. Again, we say, well, the team ought to be put to the test.
Well, the gap is down to 0.3 of a second. So Jones certainly closing in. Be very interesting to see what happens here. There's not far of this race to go now. Onto the back straight.
Well, will he go for the same move as we've just seen Allen do on Richards as they get to the chicane at the back of the track?
Well, I actually saw Murphy, I think I saw Murphy giving a little wave there to Brad Jones.
And here goes Jones, up on the inside and takes him.
Yeah, so Murphy's let the team leader through there at the last chicane. So
that'd hurt a little when you're young and you want to prove yourself, and that is certainly the job of Greg Murphy. Brad Jones is our new leader, and it looks like the Audis will finish 1-2 and in team order.
Well, I suppose he wants to have full-time employment, so...
Who's paying the bills, I guess?
Yeah, that's right. So he wants to be racing at Oran Park next week.
Jeff Brabham back in 3rd in the BMW, then the BMW of Charlie O'Brien in 4th. They're still going close.
I thought Murphy was going to have a little go there. He might have changed his mind.
Jones and Murphy. Still coming up to some of the back markers. I mean, you don't want to make an error. If Jones does make an error, Murphy will be, I guess, only too happy to go past. He's not going to just sit there and twiddle his thumbs.
Well, now we're on the last corner, coming up to the finish. So it's going to be an Audi 1-2. That's the first time for them in Australia. So for the team, a great effort, and certainly they've dominated.
Side by side, they go across the line. Not much in it. Jones gets the money ahead of Murphy. Brad Jones, second at Bathurst last year, and taking out. Jeff Brabham takes 3rd spot. So the two Audis, 1-2, Brad Jones, Greg Murphy, Jeff Brabham 3rd, Charlie O'Brien 4th, and Jeff Allen in the Ford Mondeo 5th. That's the Super Touring cars for this Saturday at Indy. Another 8 laps coming up tomorrow. Right now, we'll take a break on Nine's Wide World.
Of course, because